Are you a sugar or a fat burner? Now, what this means, sugar burners are people who are typically going to be eating foods that are high in carbohydrates more often. So, for instance, if you're eating cereal for breakfast, some bread or like a sandwich for lunch, maybe a muesli bar for a snack, and then sitting down for a pasta meal, there's a fair chance you're going to be a sugar burner. Now, once again, sugar being carbohydrates that get converted into sugar. All carbohydrates get converted into sugar, whether you're eating honey, whether you're eating sugar, or whether you're eating, say, for instance, a carrot. It's all going to get transferred into a sugar and then used for fuel from there. Fat burners are typically people who utilize their own fat stores, or the body uses fats as its first preference um, of fuel. So when we look at it, sugar burners, what happens is essentially, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. I'm just going to admit someone into the room. When we look at it, and I'll explain this a little bit more in detail. Actually, we might just jump straight to the next slide. So this is having a look at the sugar roller coaster. And if you guys have seen me talk before, we did touch on this last time when I came down to the gym. When we look at this little graph here, what we've got is a bloodline, which is your 5 millimolars. That's where your bloodline or your blood sugar levels love to stay. Okay, just on like a fasting state, it will stay here. Pretty much if your blood sugar levels drop below that, you get into what they would call a low. If they go above that, depending on how far up they go, will potentially be called a high. And so when we're looking at this, when we eat food, you get a dose of sugar. And what will happen is insulin, which is a storage hormone, will get released and come out and pretty much say, hey, there's too much sugar here. I'm going to store it for fuel. So what it does is it will transfer any that it can into things like glycogen, so in your muscles for repair or for fuel for later. And anything that doesn't need to use for glycogen pretty much gets stored as body fat or adipose tissue. So what would happen if we were eating what we'd call the regular Australian diet, where you wake up and you have cereal for breakfast? You would eat your cereal and your blood sugar levels would probably be either at 5 millimolars or just below. Okay, so you're waking up in a fasted state. You eat this cereal for breakfast and you get this big bolus of sugar just from whatever it is. Say, for instance, it's just Wheat Bix and you don't even have sugar on it. That's still going to give you a big carbohydrate hit. So what happens is you get this big bolus of sugar into your bloodstream, and the body says, whoa, 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 I need to get rid of this. I need to use it and act on this energy that's getting dropped into my body. So I'm going to let go of all of this insulin. So the insulin gets released. Once again, you use what you can of the glycogen or the sugars. And then what happens is, because there's been so much sugar put into the body and so much insulin dumped, essentially you get a massive drop in your blood sugar levels, which makes you crave more sugars. So therefore you go out and you have a muffin for morning tea or a muesli bar, you get another hit of sugar. Insulin has not had a chance to come down, so it keeps up high all day long. And what happens is, say, for instance, cereal for breakfast, muffin or muesli bar for a snack. Then you have, say, for instance, a sandwich for lunch. You might have some fruit in the afternoon for a snack. And then you have a pasta dinner. All day long, your energy levels and your blood sugar levels are doing this. They're going up and down and up and down and up and down. Not only your energy levels, but also your mood. So I don't know if you guys can relate to this at all, where your energy and your mood and everything is just up and down all day long. You just feel like you need a sugar hit, or what we would call a sugar craving. And it's because your body knows what it wants. It wants to either have sugars or it wants to have fats as fuel. If you're a sugar burner, your body is going to crave sugars more often. So that's where we get to this stage of things, where you're essentially seeing your sugars or the way that you feel even goes like that. Can anyone relate to that? Just put like a Y or a yes in the chat box if you can. If you've ever felt that, you feel like you're going up and down. Yeah, we're getting a few Ys there. That's awesome. So what we're going to do is talk about how we get rid of this, or how we stop that from happening. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, lots of yeses there. Okay. And so that's pretty common. Really, it's not a bad thing, because it's how we've been told to eat our whole lives. The issue is that high amounts of insulin in the body like this is called hyperinsulinemia. And that is related to pretty much a lot of the severe things that cause death. So severe illnesses or diseases that cause death.